They need to have all the answers. They need to know everything. They need to be everywhere at the same time. Okay, so that is not possible. So that is just not possible. The result, as a result, the leader is feeling exhausted and unsatisfied because you cannot have all the answers. That's absolutely not possible. And especially today with this world who is going so fast with the AI of tomorrow. No. So you need to include people. You need to change your leadership. And that, Leslie, I don't have to say anything. Everybody knows that. And the problem is not why we should change. The problem is how to change.
Welcome to What If with Leslie Grandy. There's a quiet pressure building in leadership right now, not just to move faster or adopt AI or make the right strategic calls, but to project certainty in a world that is anything but certain. Leaders are still expected to have answers, to be composed, to be in control, even as the pace of change makes those expectations increasingly unrealistic. And that tension creates something subtle but dangerous. It discourages people from saying, I don't know. It makes admitting mistakes feel like weakness instead of learning. It pushes leaders to project confidence rather than practice curiosity. And over time, it separates them from the very people they're meant to lead. Because the truth is, no one has the full playbook for what's coming next. AI is accelerating decisions, compressing timelines, and shifting how work gets done. But it's also exposing something deeper, that leadership has never really been about having all the answers. It's about how you show up when you don't. In this episode, executive leadership coach and author Hortense le Gentil and I explore what it takes to lead in that space. The kind of self-awareness required to recognize your own blind spots, the self-efficacy to trust your judgment without needing total certainty, the willingness to let go of control in order to create environments where others can contribute, question, and grow. Hortense believes that the leaders who will navigate this moment most effectively won't be the ones who hold on tighter. They'll be the ones who can admit what they don't know, stay grounded in what they value, and build trust in the spaces where clarity hasn't arrived yet. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to today's episode of What If with Leslie Grandy. Today's guest is Hortense le Gentil, a world-renowned executive leadership coach, speaker, and two-time author. Hortense guides CEOs and senior executives on their journey from hero leaders to human leaders, and her work challenges the traditional idea of the infallible superhero leader while exploring what it means to lead with empathy, alignment, and authenticity. Hortense was recently recognized as one of the world's top 30 leadership professionals for 2026 by Global Gurus. She's a contributor to Harvard Business Review and ThriveGlobal.com and has been featured in Forbes, Fast Company, Inc., and Business Insider. And if you, like me, follow Hortense on LinkedIn or have heard her on other podcasts, you know she brings an uplifting perspective to leadership, one grounded in the belief that humanity and leadership are not in tension, but deeply connected. It's a pleasure to welcome you, Hortense, to the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Leslie. It's my pleasure.
Well, before we talk about leadership ideas, I'm curious what first made you question the traditional model of leadership and start exploring the inner life of leaders?
That's a good question. So what first? I think it's because my experience, I think, as a person and as employees in large corporations a long time ago now, but and then I felt like it doesn't work, and people are not happy when you try to be like a superhero, leader, and people are not following. Something was wrong. I think, the first seed was at that moment years ago. So maybe 40 years ago. Then I felt like something was wrong. There would not be, the good way, the right way to do it. Then I became an entrepreneur. So now it's 20 years ago. And then in a field that I didn't know anything about. It was a recycling steel industry, so it was absolutely not, what I knew. It was not my expertise. But so what I did is I just tried to be myself. And I just say, okay, I don't know that. I don't know about, how, do you mix products and so on and so on. But what I know is, managing people, communicate, have a vision. So everything I knew. And for the rest, I said, you know what? Teach me. I told my engineer, teach me, teach me what I need to know, not everything, but what I need to know in order to help you and understand correctly what we're doing there. So I used my judgment a lot, my intuition, and I just, stay who I am. And I discovered that it worked very, very well. First, I was very happy because, this sensation that you learn, that you can do something, out of the box. It's very special. It's wonderful. It looks like, oh, who knew that I could do that kind of things and be happy? And also to see, people follow you, believe in you, asking you questions, respect you. It's beautiful. So it was like a family, and we did a great job. And I'm so proud of you. Everything we did, it was very hard, and I'm so proud of my people, of the person who worked with me. So it was a great, great moment. Then from there, I thought that, there was something that more leaders should do. And then, and I became a coach. And then it was completely, I don't know, everything came very organically, in fact, because, I taught what I knew, what I learned. And I saw so many people, so many leaders trying to be somebody else, and not be that effective, that successful, that in fact just, allow them or authorize them to working on who they are and how they can lead with humanity, change everything. So it became a thing. And I think, the more I did, the more I wanted to do. And I hope the better I am. But I do my best, at least.
That's an awesome story and an awesome journey to authenticity, too, in what you're teaching, because it was an arc you took. So I know a lot of executive coaches and personally had experience with a couple. One thing I learned is that no two coaches are the same, that you really, have to find someone that suits you and that you can listen and absorb what they have to say. So how do you describe your coaching style? How do you know if you are the right fit for a customer? What are the signals for you that this is a place I can have impact versus they say they're ready, but they're not really looking for what I have to offer?
So I would say it goes both ways. The first thing I do, and often when you want to coach, you talk with the coach, with the person for a while. And what is important is both, me and the person supposed to be coached to feel at ease, to feel happy, to feel good, to feel energized. And on my side, if, I'm, explaining that we are going to work on the leadership and work on how you want to be remembered, because, very often people arrive when, okay, they feel like they need to change something because it used to work, but now it doesn't work that much anymore, or they could do more, but they don't know how to do it. And, and there is a big difference between managing and a manager and a leader. So I invite them to think about how they want to be remembered and to do this journey with me, to go back to, to the beginning, to visit where they could be trapped, what I call a mind trap, where, what could be an obstacle to do that and so on. And then if I feel like they don't want to do it, very often it's, yes, let's do it. But if I feel like they don't want to do it, maybe somebody asks them, to be coached. They don't want to be coached. They don't want to change. They don't want that kind of thing. They don't have time for that. It's not for me. And it's, and I'm not for them. So, I say, I say no, because I say, I don't think you're ready. So I don't think that would be worth, to work together. And I will invite also everybody that wants to have a coach to do exactly the same. I think one of the things, you need to be energized, sometimes very tired. That's okay. That's completely okay. That's normal, but energized. If you feel energized, if you feel insecurity with the person in front of you, you have the right person. If you feel not that good, and after you are exhausted, and after you are maybe angry because the person told you something you didn't resonate well with you, I would invite you to not do it, because it means you are not in the same energy. You don't understand each other, or you are not ready for each other. So it's a big deal to find a coach. It's a big deal. You need to find the right person.
I'm curious because over the course of my career, I know that companies, boards, executives tell another executive, you need to get coached. You're really smart, but you're not fitting in. But then I also know there's people who recognize that, are self-aware, and seek it out on their own outside of what the corporate selection for coaches might be, or the impetus for getting that coach. What do you see when you come into the situation is different in each of those environments? Do you feel more compelled to operate on behalf of the company when you're hired by a corporate entity to coach one of their executives versus when you're with someone more independently?
Anyway, this is the same, because but often, I have a lot of CEOs, so they choose who they want. Sometimes, yes, I'm working with HR also, but I mean, it's the same for me, because I work. This is what I do. I don't do something else. I'm working with the person that you give me, or the person who wants to work with me. And then, and also after we do the 360 and so on and so on. And of course, we're working on, how your purpose is, fitting with the purpose of your company, and how, and we are talking about people, and we are talking about all that. So, because it's difficult to explain, in 3 sentences what you do in a coaching, but because that's a journey. It's the same, because when I work, for a CEO anyway, I'm in the process. So, and sometimes I'm talking often with the board members, and during the 360, or if something happened, anybody can reach out to me from, the board members. So it's inside a company, working with one person who is going to be a better leader, and more human leader, and share better her vision, and include everyone in a better way, if you will. So doesn't change anything to me.
I've often thought that people mistrust an executive coach that was identified by a company because it's perhaps pursuing the company's agenda for that leader versus the person's professional agenda. And so I often wondered if there was, from your perspective, a different expectation for how you would work under the two conditions. That's where the question emerged, because I see a lot of people mistrusting a coach, or trusting a coach, or more cautious around a coach that was hired by the company to help them versus one they hired on their own. And so that interaction, I thought, might look different to you.
Yeah, I understand your point, but I think, the main thing is whoever is hiring you, you need to keep and have this confidence with the person you coach. This is very personal. Then, of course, as a coach, I can share things. I'm going to share how, I'm going to ask questions and say, okay, how does this person communicate? Imagine communication is a thing that this person is, improving. So what is happening? But I mean, I will never, never, never share something personal, or to who puts, my client at in a difficult situation, or not even difficult situation, but this is me, and this is me talking. But for me, I keep everything, I keep everything for me, and I give back what I think is going to help, the company, or the HR, or the board member. And sometimes if I need to share a little more, I'm going to ask, my coachee, and I will say, okay, how do you want me to phrase that? What do you want me to share with the board or whatever? Because this is the first thing. It's, the trust. I think everything is about trust with a coach. If you don't trust your coach for a reason or another one, or if your coach share something that you are not, you don't feel good about, that's not good.
I completely agree. And I do feel that getting over that trust hurdle inside a company that you will in fact protect confidence is key, right? Because then you get much more access to insight and information from the coachee, as you point out. I'm really in love with your mission to undermine the infallible superhero leader. I think that identity is still too prevalent. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about the model of leadership that you describe as a superhero, and then talk about how it fails organizations rather than elevates them. And I think a lot of people who think they're doing the company a service by coming off as a superhero would be shocked to understand from your experience how it does just the opposite.
But the first thing is, what I call a superhero versus a human leader. It means it's a leader who feels like they need to have all the answers. They need to know everything. They need to be everywhere at the same time. Okay, so that is not possible. So that is just not possible. As a result, the leader is feeling exhausted and unsatisfied because you cannot have all the answers. That's absolutely not possible. And especially today with this world who is going so fast with the AI of tomorrow. No. So you need to include people. You need to change your leadership. And that, Leslie, I don't have to say anything. Everybody knows that. And the problem is not why we should change. The problem is how to change. This is where, I try to help, because this is where I help is how. So I created this process of, how can we change? Because you don't know. It's impossible to do, to continue to try to have all the answer, to be the smartest person in the room all the time. I don't have to talk about that. Everybody knows. So that I think it's a point. Maybe you still have, some of them. Okay. They will never change. It's okay. That's our problem. And that's all. But I mean, and you don't, no, I wanted to add something like, and you don't have to work with that kind of people, if you are not happy, to work with that kind of people. But I mean, this is another story. My work is to try to help you to change. So, and to become this human leader that, the people need today. And as a result, anyway, if you don't do it, we can see, some leaders who are not human, you are not vulnerable, who, never say that I don't know, push people hard. They can have result. Yes, they can. But for how long? They cannot keep talent. You cannot keep talent. People are not going to stay with you. At one point, no, it's not possible anymore. So they want to be seen. They want to be treated. They want respect. They want to feel safe. They want trust. So this is completely, the opposite of what is a superhero, or, leadership is. So as a result, you will not keep, for long your talent. So you will face a problem at one point or another.
You're listening to What If with Leslie Grandy. If you want to activate your imagination and build your creative muscles, I've put together some free resources, including webinars, downloadable content, bonus book content, and even a GPT to help you achieve your goals. Access these free tools to start asking what if today at lesliegrandy.com/resources. It occurs to me that probably one of the biggest missing elements of this superhero persona is that they don't model curiosity or demonstrate comfort with ambiguity. And I think your personal story about saying, I don't know anything about this domain, teach me. I know how to lead with vision and alignment, but I don't know this space, I think is a really great example of modeling curiosity, But my guess is that trait is absent from superhero leaders. They're not willing to admit they need that information from someone who might be a subordinate.
But, again, if we go back to always the same story, but I mean, if they don't want, they don't want. What can you do? I have, a mantra, very easy, because I have a lot of work. So people, I'm working with people who want to work. If you don't want, you don't want, you don't try if somebody doesn't want. The first thing is to want. I want to change. And yes, I see the value of being human. If not, don't lose your time. They don't. Maybe one day they will wake up and say, oh, you were right. But for the moment, they are not. So focus on helping other people who can. I mean, so talking about, why they don't do it, what can I say? They don't want, you know what I mean? So I can force anybody and nobody can force anybody to do it. But, and at one point you are not forced also, but it's depending, I know some situations are difficult, but I mean, if you can change and you're not happy, so you change leadership and that's it. But I mean, again, I try to always think like, and this is what I share with my coach. Do you have any impact? Can you do anything? If you cannot, why should we talk about it? Don't lose your time. Focus on what you can change. If you want to change, the government or the war, or what can I do? Nothing. So, okay. But what I can change is my environment. Is the way I work, the way I lead, the way you can change a lot of things, but focus on that, not on what you can't, because it's just talking for talking.
I'm sure over time you've seen some patterns and some traps that people get into, even if they're willing to change. What are some of the common mind traps that you see in leaders who maybe are stuck in this transition, being able to kind of cross the chasm into a world where they're more relaxed around the things that used to make them agitated or anxious before?
Yeah. So the first thing is the fear. So I think it's very afraid when you are successful to do that way. It's very, we're afraid. It's scary somewhere, to see, oh, I'm going to change, because, you need to be motivated to do that. So first I invite, people to think about, and I like to say, to invite your fears at the table and to have a conversation with your fears. And you say, yes, I'm afraid. Maybe I'm going to fail. Yes, I'm afraid. Maybe it's going to be a bit of chaos. Maybe yes, but I'm going to do it anyway, And then you just negotiate with your fears. They're here, and they will stay here, by the way, because we are human beings. So that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we are afraid. That's fine. And this is good. And then the second thing is, find where you are trapped. Find, the obstacle. So very often there is one who is coming back again and again is perfection. I want to be perfect. It was very helpful, for a long time, because your parents, your education, so you need to be perfect. You need to do more. So it's a driver, and for a while it is very good. And I had, for example, I'm going to share with you a story. So I had one client. I'm going to share the story of one client, but it's very common, in fact. So he just wanted absolutely to be perfect all the time. And then, of course, he was not perfect all the time. So he was just rethinking at night, oh, did I give the right answer? Did I do the right thing for these people? So he was completely exhausted, and he never took the time to say, to congratulate or to be grateful for the day, or to congratulate him, to look back at, the journey he had. So because he was not able to do it for himself, he was not able to do for his team. So at one point, everybody was exhausted. And and they didn't follow him anymore. So he didn't understand because he was there, flying from a space to another one, and, doing one thing and another. And then he came back and the team didn't move that much. And, it didn't follow that much. And he didn't understand why. And in fact, working on this, so I have this question. I say, where is it coming from? Why you never stop? Why you cannot say just thank you and just, congratulate your team, look back at what, the journey you did and always ask for more and more and more. And he told me, because, it helped me because my parents told me, and this is how I grew up. And I said, this is good. This is good. But at one point, it is not anymore helpful, right? And I asked him the question. I asked him, there are three questions that I ask very often is it true that, so you need to never stop? So sometimes they say yes. Okay. Is it relevant? Sometimes they say yes. Is it helpful? Often they say no, because we are all exhausted. So if one of the questions, the answer of one of the question is no, so we need to let go. So let go of this behavior of perfection that doesn't exist, by the way. Doesn't exist, is not possible. And let's rewrite our story. So, okay, breathe, take the time, and then now take the time to acknowledge, the journey, the people you're working with, give them time to take the time to be with them, take the time, to listen to them, take the time to ask them questions, and don't try to have all the answer, because this is all together that you're going to have all the answer.
That's really interesting. And it makes me, it kind of naturally leads me to wonder about how AI amplifies this anxiousness or this agitation around perfection for leaders, because as their teams are looking for vision and strategy to guide how they do it, they're also nervous. They don't really know yet what are the right ways to implement it. So are you seeing any particular amplification that AI is bringing to these behaviors? Or are you seeing it actually easier for you to coach people on where to go with their thinking, given AI is taking on a role in the business? How does AI factor into this leadership vision that you have?
So the AI is, I think, ask the question to anybody. Nobody knows where it's going to go and what's going to happen. So it lets everybody, every leader has to work on it and say, okay, how, I need to put AI and to use more AI, and how can AI, help me in the company, in a way. And in the other way, on the other hand, how can I, as a leader, how can I continue to motivate people, to work on that? This is a very difficult balance. And for me, for the moment, what I see, the best things to do is, the more we're going to have AI. So AI is all about rationality. So it's the left side. Probably AI will be better than us and faster. And it's already the case. So it can go very fast. So don't try to compete. Don't try to compete in that way. It will not work. But the good news is, the more AI we have, what I like to say is, the antidote of AI is to increase our humanity. What that means? That means the right brain, the creativity brain, the connection, brain, the communication brain, the feeling brain. And let me give you an example. I'm translating my book for the moment from English to French. It's a very good experience because, my publisher is using AI and also using a person. And this is very interesting because AI can translate the words, and sometimes it's quite okay, when it's technical or just a simple story or something like that. But when you arrive to, to talk about, mind trap and things like that. So things with a lot of nuance, emotion, it doesn't work. You need to rewrite everything because AI cannot feel. When you read something as a human being, when we listen, we can feel it. We have emotions. We have empathy. We can feel things. AI is not and probably will not. So so our job is very easy. We need to be more human. We need to increase this emotion. We need to be more connected to our emotion, to who we are, to the empathy things, to our creativity, and so on and so on. And because AI is not going to do it. And then when you are a leader, the balance and the difficulty is to find this balance and to explain people, okay, maybe some jobs are not going to, to be needed tomorrow. But doesn't mean that we don't need you anymore. It just means that you need to adapt. So try to use AI as a tool. AI should be at your service, not the opposite, not you at the service of AI. So it's how to work together. Okay, so you go faster than me to find information and to be rational. Go ahead. And then you as a human being learn to express more of your feeling, to more of your vision, emotion, creativity, as you like to say, let's see. But that's true. Be more creative. And you have more time for that. And I think it's very exciting because this is great. So because each of us, we have a special talent, and then it's time to be connected to this special talent and to work with AI, on it. And this is great.
As you're talking, and especially talking about sort of the left and right brain and that emotion part, one of the things that strikes me is over the course of my own career, I've had the good fortune and bad fortune to work with successful leaders like Steve Jobs, who interviewed me before I worked at Apple. And one wouldn't actually say he had social skills or soft skills. He wasn't necessarily affable to everyone. He was a difficult person to speak with sometime if you were an underling. And yet the company was super successful. The valuation was, growing, especially during the period that I was there, right when the iPhone was launching. And I think those people, the Mark Zuckerbergs or the Steve Jobs, the people with these larger than life personalities that are absent the soft skills, still sort of succeed and still get people to come work for them. So what do you say to the employees that are looking at these leaders and don't necessarily appreciate or applaud that type of personal style or aren't able to be comfortable around the presence of a person who's that demanding and controlling? How do you feel those people can balance what it is that you're saying about great human leadership and what they see around these people who are super successful despite having none of the behaviors that you're describing? So I'm really curious about that, especially as we look towards that AI and human emotion balance. I feel like those leaders were always sort of on the side of no emotion and more like AI, sort of no psychological safety, right? And now we see this even more amplified, perhaps because machines are doing work instead of people. And so there's less of those soft skills. How do you help someone think through that as they're looking up at leaders that they want to become, and they see that these people are still successful in that behavior?
That's true. We said so, before. So, and by the way, Steve Jobs changed, at the end. So, and you know better than me. But I think it's up to you. So we are free. So I would just ask you the question, Leslie, what do you want to do? This is very easy, in fact. So if you work or in your environment, you are some people like that who, could be difficult to work with. And then one day you are in position of leadership yourself. Just think. This is time to think. How do you want to remember as a leader? What do you want to do? Did you suffer? Did you like it? Do you want to do the same? Yes or no? So it's you had this experience. If you liked it, do what you want, and you will see what is going to happen. If you didn't like it and you want to do things differently, so do it differently. But the main question is, how do you want to be remembered as a leader? How you want to show up? And I always, I often give this exercise of, one day we'll be out of the picture. So we'll not be here anymore. Then imagine that day. Imagine, the people around, that and imagine those people, writing your eulogy. What do you want them to tell about you? What do you think they are going to remember about you? Think about it and choose.
So absent a role model, like at the time I was young and I saw this person and I thought this is what it takes to be successful. Do I have it in me to do that? And if the answer is no, it's hard to figure out how to move into a career trajectory that supports it when you don't have a role model to show you the opposite way of being. And so that was a lot of my challenge, I think, during that time is I didn't like it. I didn't want to be that person, but I really didn't understand how to be successful without those kind of behaviors because I hadn't seen someone really do that. And so I think that may be where your coaching comes in. Like, I know I don't want to be that. I just don't know what I want to be or how to be the thing that isn't that. So I'm kind of cutting back to what you're saying, which is I want to be different. I just don't know how to be different.
Yeah. And this is very often, and this is okay. We don't know, that's all. And very often this is it. We don't know where to start. And where to start is, by doing this process of, finding where you are trapped, where it's coming from, challenging the source. So is it true, relevant, like I said? Then after, let go. And then after work on, now. So now let's, what I call, the mind shift. So you shift and then you build. Now let's talk. Let's talk about you, not about them, about you, because the answers are here. So it's, what are your values? What do you believe in? What is important for you? How do you want to be remembered? How you want to show up for your environment? And then let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, what you like, what the legacy you want, to give behind. And then petit à petit, so, step by step, you get there. And this is very important because that would be your compass when you don't know the answer. And sometimes, often, today, we don't know in that word, we don't know the answer. We don't know what is right or wrong. I mean, should I take, left or right? Sometimes we don't know. So just, stay there. So your inner voice, who you are, your values, will always give you the answer, the right answer. Back in the COVID, when you were a leader of a company and you had to close all, the stores. Okay, imagine. So, what can I do? What can I do? Should I close, not close? Then the only thing you need to do, and this is my clients were, so, or they all ask this question that I asked the question, I said, what do you value most? And they said, the security of my people. Okay, so close the door. So close the store. And they did. And after they reinvented, a new way to work and so on, the pick Best Buy, for example, was a great example for that. And this is what we need to do because there is no playbook. Then same with AI. You don't know exactly, but follow your heart, follow your instinct, follow your values. So give the trainings, the possibility to your salaries, to your people to learn more, to be more human, to be more all together, to share more, to innovate more, to ask questions, to doubt more, but all together, not against, each other, because that is not safe. And if you And I think there is enough of insecurity outside us. So, let's create an environment secure and secure. I don't know if we can say secure, but at least of trust, an environment when you can at least feel safe to be yourself and be more and more, learn every day to be more of yourself. Means more connected to your values, more connected to what you believe in, and let go, the noise outside. There are a lot of noises and there are a lot of unknown. We need to learn to live with that.
I want to take that thread and pull it forward and ask, what if we fast forward 5 years? What do you think the biggest impact will be on leaders from AI? What do you think will change in your premise or need to be more emphasized in your premise 5 years from now? How do you see leadership evolving under the current sort of foresight that you have?
I think leadership is going to be more and more important and more human. So the main job of a leader is already and will be to take care of their people, and that's it. Take care of them, create the environment to make them grow, belong, respected, and that's it. And that's it. But that's a lot. And of course, I'm not talking about the vision, about, the creativity, and the fast and the speed. It's going to be fast, very, very fast. So because of that, take care of that. And of course, take care of AI, but that everybody's doing that anyway. So try to find the balance between both of them and try to reinvent yourself. I think it's also a question of reinventing. But again, how do you reinvent yourself? By taking risk, by, creating this environment where you can try things. And if you fail, that's all right. At least you started,
You showed you're human. That's what you did. Yeah. I think that's the thing that seeing a leader fail does best, right? Is that it shows that the leader is human and can make mistakes, right? And how they recover from them becomes the more important factor.
Yeah, that's a more important. And then you were talking about role modeling, and then you role model that. And then if as a leader, you role model that, everyone is going to do the same from the frontliner, and everybody, is going to try something new. And then this is how you're going to create an environment where creativity is, comes first. And you don't know where you are going to be in 5 years, but in another place, because going to go fast. So think fast about that, because you cannot imagine yourself everything. That's not possible. So, okay, create that environment, create that around you to make people talk about it and share ideas and find the best way to find your way, because the best way is your way.
This has been really wonderful and uplifting, as I knew it would be. If people want to learn more about your work, tell us the titles of your 2 books and also where they can find more about your coaching services.
Thank you. So the 2 books are, the first one was Aligned, Connecting Your True Self with the leader you're meant to be. So, and the second one was released 3 years ago, The Unlocked Leader, and Dare to Free Your Own Voice, Lead with Empathy, and Shine Your Light in the World. So, and this is, the process of it's a playbook of how to unlock yourself with the mind traps, the mind shift, and then the mind build, and how you write your own story and how you find your way. And where you can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram, I'm here, and I also have a website on my name, so hortenselegentil.com. And and the book are everywhere, on Amazon, of course, and everywhere in the bookstore.
Thank you so much for spending the time with me today and sharing your perspective. As I say, I really do appreciate the more important message that it is in this day and age than it might have even been 5 years ago, and how people need to be more receptive to the message of human leaders as we become more dependent on AI in how our work gets done. So I really think it's a timely message, and I'm really delighted that you were able to spend some time with me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you.
You've You've been listening to What If with Leslie Grandy. If you want to learn more about creative leadership in the age of generative AI, subscribe to my Substack at lesliegrandy.substack.com.